Hi guys, it's Katie with Dashy Dish, and today I'm going to show you a look inside my clean eating fridge and freezer. Now just like with my pantry, I like to keep things in compartments and kind of organized, and this allows me to see what I actually have on hand and what I still have need of when I make my grocery list. So let's have a look inside. So starting up at the top, I have my milk. I usually use almond milk for myself, but Maddie uses organic whole milk and Sean uses 1% organic milk. And then as far as eggs and meat, I keep them on one shelf because that's kind of where the foods are that, you need to really wash your hands when you use them. So I kind of keep those together. So I use organic cage-free eggs. Usually I get them from Costco. And then some organic chicken, ground beef, and turkey. And when it comes to my meats and my eggs, I really try to stick to organic if possible. And then moving on to the next shelf, I have things like spreads. So hummus is a really popular one. We have a huge Costco size because we use a lot of hummus. We use it on wraps and on sandwiches and even as salad dressings and just on all kinds of things, even for snacks. And then I try to have some kind of meat that is always prepped and cooked and ready to go to put into a meal or a recipe. So in this case, I have crock pot shredded chicken, which is a recipe on Dashy Dish, really simple one to make. And then I have a few meals that are already prepped and ready that I made earlier in the week. So I have, this is actually my taco chili that I pulled out of my freezer to have today for lunch. And then I have some clean eating meatballs and some spaghetti squash, and then some of my clean eating mac and cheese, which is a favorite of Sean and Maddie's. Then on the next shelf, I have my dairies. So cottage cheese and yogurts. Now, as far as yogurts go, I always try to find organic and Greek yogurt without any added sugar. And then I make my own yogurt snacks, or I add them to a recipe and I add things to them so I can control the ingredients and also the sugar content. Cottage cheese I use primarily in protein shakes, but also in things like lasagnas and things like that instead of ricotta cheese. Also, I do want to note that as far as cottage cheese goes, I do try and get organic, but I don't always. The number one thing that I look for with cottage cheese is the ingredients. So Daisy is a great brand because it's just milk, cream, and salt. A lot of cottage cheese have weird ingredients added, so just be checking the ingredients on all of your food. The next compartment I have here is really just foods that are pre-prepped and almost gone that we're kind of just in the middle of eating. So a whole plate of food for Maddie, things like that. And last but not least is my fruits. So I have a whole bin here of apples and pears that are organic. And again, with fruits and veggies, I try and do organic and also some berries. And then in my drawers here, I keep a whole drawer of cheese because we love cheese and we use it a lot in this family. It's a great source of protein, and I think cheese gets a bad rap. But I just try to use it sparingly, measure it out whenever I can, and also choose organic. And I love to use cheeses with a lot of flavor so you get a lot of bang for your buck. So for me, that's especially things like Parmesan cheese, feta cheese, because it gives a lot of flavor and you don't need more than really a serving or a fourth cup in order to get a lot of the flavor. Next, we have our bread drawer, and I keep the bread in a drawer because honestly, I don't use it as much. It's not as commonly used in our house. But when I do need bread, I like to use Ezekiel bread, and I like the sesame kind. It has the most flavor. I like to toast it for sandwiches, and I give it to Maddie for PB&J and grilled cheese, things like that. Usually you find this in your groceries freezer, and you keep it in the freezer, but we use it usually before it goes bad, just being in the fridge. And then last but not least is the vegetable drawer. And this is kind of just where all my produce is, and I chose the bottom widespread drawer so that I can really see what I have on hand before it goes bad. I really love having it all kind of in plain sight because I feel like this is the area of the fridge that kind of just goes bad and it's kind of hidden oftentimes in one of these deep drawers. So I like to have it all spread out so I can see what I actually have. I always have a bag of lettuce so that I can do a salad with a meal. I love to have zucchini and squash on hand, and I love to have things like celery and carrots to either have as a snack with some hummus or some nut butter, or to even put into a soup or a stew really quickly. On my side doors, these are things like condiments and dressings. First at the top we have nut butters, and I like to buy the real nut butters, so they do have to be refrigerated. Organic fruit spread, which is just really fruit that I just spread on some PB&J for Maddie. Some egg whites. These are Kirkland cage-free brand, and these are great to have just for recipes or just a quick egg white omelet. Eggs are always a really good protein source if you're short on ingredients or short on time. You can just put them into a pan or bake them, and you have a really delicious meal. That I don't really use dressings a whole lot, but if I do for a marinade or something quick, or just for a little bit for a salad, I like Garlic Expressions brand and Primal Kitchen. And these are great, again, just because if you want to marinate something really quickly, it's made with real ingredients, avocado oil, which I love, and all organic spices and vinegars. I also love Coconut Secret, and this is just a teriyaki sauce that I got at Whole Foods. And then I love this brand of maple syrup. It is sweetened with monk fruit sweetener, so it doesn't spike your blood sugar. It has 15 calories per serving, not a lot of added sugar, so I add this to my baked goods and use it for breakfast. And down here we have some Annie's organic ketchup. Sean and Maddie love ketchup because they're both picky eaters, and so you put a little of this on, it goes a long way. And then just some mustard and some, this was just from an ice cream bar that we had. And here's what I'm saying. We're not perfect eaters. We don't eat perfectly clean all the time. This is definitely not clean eating, but for a treat every now and then, and if you have friends over and you have an ice cream bar, then get some whipped cream. They'll enjoy it, and you will too. So we don't use that on a daily basis, but it's nice just to have for a treat. I have things at the top that I don't use as often, so like my butter and my vinegar and Annie's barbecue sauce, just some things that I might add to a recipe. And then I have some salsa verde, some teriyaki sauce that I absolutely love for things like chicken and burgers, some pickles, and then my almond milk, some real maple syrup, Parmesan cheese, and then some specialty maple syrup. So these are all just some ingredients that I like to have just kind of for whatever recipe or meal that I'm making to put them in. So I hope that this inspired you on filling your clean eating fridge. It's not about perfection. It's just about finding ways that you can really stick to eating a clean eating lifestyle long term. And I think having organization and really knowing what you have on hand and the ingredients that are in your foods really helps. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day.